let me go ahead and start recording. All right, so I'll get started while Carlo, you figure that one out. So welcome to another Beta Alpha Psi meeting, everybody. Hope everybody's doing good. Today we have Al Dennis and Mark here from WISS coming here for the meeting. Here for a classroom or a meeting? Oh, okay. Sorry about that. Yeah, we've had WIS come in at least like once a year, I'm pretty sure. They're a very great company. The people that work there are very nice people, amazing people. Um, Also, I met Aldenis at the career fair this semester. Aldenis, I'm not actually sure if you go there all the time, like every single career fair, or was it just that one semester that you were there for?
I believe this would have been my first career fair at FDU.
First career fair. Well, hopefully you liked it. And it also was very nice meeting you in person as well. But yeah, the floor is all yours, guys. You guys can get started whenever you'd like.
All right, great. Here, let me pull up the presentation real quick and make sure everything's sharing just right. Um,
Yeah, you should have permission as well. Let me know if it gives you any problems.
Here we go. One second. This is always the hardest part, making sure everything's like sharing correctly and on the right screens. Here we go. Oh, that's not. Sorry, everyone. Please bear with me. Let me get this to work. Okay. Is that coming through all right for everyone?
Yes.
All right, perfect. So here, let me get my mouse back on screen. Right. Well, hello everyone. For general introductions, my name is Al Dennis. And for a little bit of context around who I am an associate here at the People Operations team at WISS. I started my journey here at WIS about a year ago in January 2025 as an intern for the People Operations team. And ever since day one, I realized that this is a place that I wanted to like contribute to and really make sure that I could give my all to because something about the culture of genuine authenticity and making sure that like there was no artificial like corporate culture to be found. I was meeting managers and the CEO and partners, and at no point did I feel lesser or more intimidated to just contribute and be part of the team just because I was an intern. 6 months after my start date, give or take, I was converted to full time, and I've had the wonderful opportunity to meet plenty of bright young students like Damien and plenty of other people from FDU and all across the career fairs that I've had the opportunity to present to. And it feels good to give back to like the next generation of accountants and just put my stamp on the future. So I'm glad to be presenting to you guys, and hopefully for general structure, I figured I would present, and then later half we can open it up for Q&As if that's all right for everyone. All right, perfect. So a little bit of general context around WIS. We are a mid-sized public accounting firm headquartered out in Florham Park, New Jersey. Currently, we're sitting at around 350-ish employees, but we service over 5,000 clients in almost every industry you can think of. We have clients in real estate, construction, manufacturing, distribution, food and beverage, and technology, just to name a few. If I'm not mistaken, the only industry that we don't really have a proper client touch base in is going to be financial services. So private banking, things in that general field. Our firm has been around since 1969, but you wouldn't be able to tell just based off of our general energy and how we approach the accounting space as a whole. We're very AI forward here, and we're constantly refining our processes to make sure that we're staying on that cutting edge of everything we can do for our clients in the accounting space. Over the last 5 years, we've grown pretty significantly. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, we started at around 150, and now, like I mentioned, we're sitting at around 350. Our professionals have a average tenure of around 6 years. We're very proud of our culture of constantly challenging our employees, but also making sure that they feel supported and making them feel that they have like proper ownership of their jobs and feel like they have encouragement to learn and constantly develop their skills in their careers. We have been awarded and continuously acknowledged within the public industry over the past few years and have been given awards such as NJ Business Best Places to Work, Forbes's American Best Accounting Firms, Inside Public Accounting's Top 100 Firms, plenty, so to speak. I won't delve into each and every one individually, as I could probably go on at length, but I believe that our incredible culture is one of the biggest benefits that you can have when you come to WIS. And as you can see with our tenure, it's certainly something that is shared among our employees. Next up, I have a brief introductory culture video to show you guys. I love showing this to everyone. I believe it encapsulates what we are about here at WIS, and it's always just cool to see some very familiar faces that you'll find on screen. All of these are going to be real employees who work here at the company.
We've spent the last 50 years creating a different kind of accounting firm, one that fosters meaningful relationships to reach new heights. But this is not about where we have been, it's about where we are going. Inspirational trailblazers in the night, we embrace the only constant in life: change, never wavering, and always putting people first. Our mission is to maximize human potential to achieve the unthinkable. It's not just what we do, it's who we are. We share a fundamental commitment to all, investing in our people, clients, and communities, improving their cultures to address the human side of strategy. Because in the end, it's the only way to build long-term value. We strive to inspire confidence in a shifting business landscape. Where others may sway, we lean in, redefining opportunities to shape our future. Let's spend the next 50 years embracing change, redefining opportunities, and investing in each other. We are WIS. What will we do next?
Looks like there's one in the chat. Uh, by Mark. Hopefully the sound was coming through all right. I'm not too sure. Sometimes it gives us a little bit of technical difficulties, but did everyone hear that okay?
Yeah, that sounded good on my end.
All right, perfect. I'm
Mhm.
happy to hear it. So before I continue on, I know our video mentioned that we're always like going to be trailblazers in the dark. I love the video of the horses running around and passing on, showing us like that we're constantly trailing off the beaten path. And one way that I believe we like to do that is with our adoption of AI and making sure that it's integrated into our accounting processes. So really quickly, I'm not too sure how I could get a good show of hands typically over virtual, but if my moderator in the room could hopefully be my little in between. Do we have any ideas to like how AI is being talked about in your classes? How's it being integrated into any accounting so far? I just want to get like a pulse on what the current curriculum is talking about artificial intelligence.
If you guys have something to say, you just say it. And just say your name after if you want.
Does anyone use AI
Yeah, so I think I'll go first. So like I'm taking I forgot what class it's technically called, but it's kind of just all about AI, artificial intelligence. And honestly, when the professor talks about it, like he talks about it as if it's like a good thing, which I think it is, by the way. And he encourages us to use it a lot. He encourages it. He told us, just use it if you need help with this, if you need help with that. He actually also, I don't know, this kind of might sound crazy, but he doesn't mind if you use it on the assignments that he actually gives as well. Because it's not something that's like like stats where you're studying, and then you have to take an exam. There are no exams for this class. It's pretty much just trying to get a better understanding of AI and learning how to use it better because there's a bunch of people that know about AI but don't really know how to use it as well as maybe the next person.
Hmm.
Yeah,
That's
that's pretty
wonderful.
much it.
No, that's what I was gonna say. That's amazing. I realize I can see myself, and it looks like I'm looking not up at you guys. So please excuse me. I just have a multi-screen setup here. But does anyone else have any notable additions to the conversation? I believe that, like, I want to bounce off of that, but I believe that that's the right approach so far. If not, I was gonna say I believe artificial
Oh,
intelligence.
Dennis.
Oh,
Sorry, there's one person in the room that wants to make a comment.
oh,
Uh,
sure, yes, of course.
an information science class, and we used it through Microsoft 365 for streamlining a lot of tables and stuff, and obviously Copilot
Hmm.
has a lot of uses, and it just makes things a lot quicker. But I
Yeah,
think
no.
it's a good tool.
Yeah, I think that's like our general approach as well to artificial intelligence. I know that when it first came out a few years ago, it was technically frowned upon in academic settings. However, here in the professional world, we understand that artificial intelligence is a tool and it's like Pandora's box. Now that it's been opened, I don't think it's ever really going to go away. And here at WISS, we'd like to go actually further into it and lean into artificial intelligence a lot more. So we are proud to announce our partnerships with Basis AI. We have Thomas and Reuters Checkpoint. We have Microsoft Copilot, as someone in the room just mentioned. We have ChatGPT, and currently we're starting to adopt Claude into our systems as well. Our general philosophy around artificial intelligence in the workplace is that it should be a coworker at your desk and, in essence, a co-pilot, not to name drop the application software, but it should help you with your work. If there's ever a case where, for example, you are analyzing plenty of client data and information that tends to be repetitive, the more you can take out and cut out the middleman by like removing human eyes from the equation, where you can spend hours and hours poring over the data manually, you can offload that work to a computer and have it obviously be fact checked by real accounting software and data. The more room we provide to the individuals to really exercise that higher order thinking and higher level accounting knowledge and understanding. So I'm glad to hear that you guys are at least getting that precursor introduction to artificial intelligence because, like I said before, it is going to be a tool that is definitely used a lot in the workplace. I know that we are approaching it from multiple different angles to make sure that people just get a cleaner streamline. A few months ago, actually, we had our partners at Basis Artificial Intelligence come out to our headquarters and we held a hackathon in office. It was a little mini competition to see who could create like the cleanest accounting workflow for their real client data. And the application is cutting down on hours that are frankly to the benefit of our full-time employees. I imagine they're very thankful to not have to sit there and pore over these financial data sheets themselves, because I imagine it's a little bit of an eyesore. But I'm glad to hear that you guys are getting that information. Next up, I would like to touch on our core service lines. I think my PowerPoint's frozen. Here we go. So first up is going to be our audit and assurance services. People typically tend to have this preconception that auditing is meant to catch any malpractice and criminal activity. And unfortunately, that couldn't be further from the truth. Just like when you go to your yearly medical checkups, the last thing that you want to hear actually is that there's something wrong. In essence, audit insurance services are like financial checkups in order to dig deep into a company's books and make sure that everything complies with regulations. This paints an honest picture for shareholders and provides more financial confidence in those people who have a stake in the financial performance of the company. We provide financial statement audits, internal control assessments, compliance audits, and review and compilation services to our clients. In essence, we use our financial data to help businesses make decisions like budgeting, forecasting, and measuring financial performance. Next up is going to be our tax services. Year after year, especially with changing presidencies and even state and local taxes, things are constantly on a shifting landscape. We like to think of tax as our financial GPS. We want to make sure we can guide our clients through the ever-changing maze of tax laws and find shortcuts to save money and avoid any costly detours. Our tax team provides a myriad of niche services such as income tax, state and local tax, international tax for some of our business or for some of our bigger business clients, sales and use tax, estate tax, and even property tax and partnerships. In essence, we want to make sure that we can minimize deductions and or maximize deductions, minimize liabilities, and stay on the right side of the tax collectors. Our last large core service is going to be our CAS department, aka Client Advisory and Accounting Services. In essence, it's like having a trusted business coach. We offer strategic guidance to our clients and help them tackle challenges, make improvement, and manage risks. Our core advisory services include fractional CFO, monthly recurring bookkeeping, and data tech and technology services. We help support smaller clients grow and even take on some interim work for those bigger clients that may have unforeseen circumstances like a CFO departure, which I'll touch on a little bit later. And even further in our advisory pipeline, we have smaller finance, human resource, and even operational infill functions just to ensure that our smaller business clients don't have any interruption in their benefits and processes. We help our businesses with like accounting systems, finance processes, and HR supports. And at the end of the day, we want all of our clients to just run a little bit more efficiently. Finally, this is a smaller service that we do have here, but we do also provide wealth management here at our firm. So, whereas in typical wealth management departments at other accounting firms, a large portion of the workload is going to be sourcing and trying to find new clients and constantly reaching out and doing cold calls, we eliminate that portion. All of our clients in the wealth management department are actually sourced from our accounting clients, just due to our philosophy that if you do enough work with a business and you go far enough up the totem pole, you're going to find someone who needs that kind of help. So we help clients build and manage their personal finances as well. So that means investments, estate planning, and long-term financial strategies, so that we are not just focusing on their current financial situations, but building wealth for their future generations. We're not just accountants, we are advisors that help businesses grow and individuals plan for their future. These are some of our smaller consulting and advisory lines that we provide as a service. First up is going to be our transaction and valuation advisory service. So primarily focusing on mergers, acquisitions, even divestitures. The most prominent example that I can think of is going to be, say you have a great romantic relationship who also happens to be running a business together. Perhaps the romantic aspect is souring and maybe isn't working as well, but the business remains flourishing and thriving. This is where our transaction advisory department would be stepping in order to make sure that even though they may not have that same romantic partnership, they can split amicably and our client can remain in safe confidence that all of their efforts and business ownership remains in their hands. Next up is our litigation support. This group is more, in essence, what people consider the auditing team. They help in legal cases and are explicitly designed to work with financial analysis to catch fraud and any malpractice. So their work goes into research and even sometimes testifying in court. And typically their work tends to be longer just due to their nature of like long-term criminal investigations occur occasionally. As I mentioned before, as we get into our recruiting advisory team, occasionally our clients have moments where, due to unforeseen circumstances, perhaps their CFO has departed and found a business elsewhere. In order to make sure that there is a continuity of work, we provide services that will not only infill as a fractional CFO in the temporary short term, but our recruiting advisory team will try and help top-tier talent in the accounting, finance, and even HR field, just so that when we step out of that role of fractional CFO, they have total confidence that they will be getting top-tier talent and result. Finally, our HR advisory team is technically designed for smaller businesses that may not have that same support network and even knowledge base to develop these things. So we help improve workforce strategy, help smaller companies find insurance and benefits brokers, payroll systems, or even occasionally write handbooks for them. Everything necessary to help a small budding like mom and pop shop get off the like street level and start moving into larger and more legally compliant business. There we go. I know that I've talked a lot about our culture and how I believe it's one of our strongest selling points here, and I figured I would provide a few examples as to how exactly that culture works. First up is going to be our WISS employee resource groups. We have communities inside WISS that are designed to really foster inclusion and support professional growth and even promote that culture of belonging. So one of the first ERGs that I can think of is going to be our parents group. So our employee population here at WIS tends to trend a little bit younger. So we have plenty of first-time parents who, frankly, do not have great ideas to what they can expect or what they're doing. So we connect them and have like monthly meetings where our more tenured parents at the firm can provide tips on how to raise children, how to manage both a full-time and a family at the same time, or even just lean on each other and have that space to vent about any difficulties they may be having. Another ERG that is incredibly popular is going to be our CPA study group. Since I mentioned that our employee population trends younger, we have plenty of people going on to take the CPA for the first time. And it is a daunting effort and a little bit intimidating. So knowing how to study, which materials are best, or even knowing how to correctly take the right order of parts for the CPA exam can be super intimidating for someone going through the process for the first time. Fortunately, again, we do have plenty of members who have already acquired their CPAs, so they can provide some of that mentorship and best practices as they approach that big test time. My apologies, it keeps freezing every now and again. Ooh, come on. Oh no. PowerPoint has frozen, unfortunately, but I can talk on while the slide loads. Our next group that I like to discuss is, oh, there we go, is our social impact program through financial literacy. This is a cause that is very close to my heart. We have a partnership with a program called Team Walker in Jersey City. I don't know if we have any Jersey City natives out in FDU, but I consider that hometown. But our whole goal is to provide some education to underrepresented demographics. These are children that are very early on, like middle school, sixth to seventh, and even occasionally eighth grade students. But we run this program over the summer, and for 6 weeks, twice a week, we provide our own curriculum around how to manage their finances. So we cover wants versus needs, how to budget, what taxes are and how they function, personal investing and banking, and even the value of having good credit. It all culminates with them taking out to a field trip at our Florham Park headquarters where they can spend their hard-earned Breno bucks, we call them, that we reward them for answering questions correctly. And it just, in essence, teaches them the value of hard work and how to manage their money. We believe that this is the ripe age to be really teaching them financial literacy because these are lessons that take a long time to learn. And frankly, the earlier we can get them, the better off they will be once they really do have their own proper income and that influx of money. I apologize. My PowerPoint seems to be giving me a hard time. But next up is going to be our Have a Heart campaign. There it is. So we do have plenty of strategic philanthropic partnerships that we pride ourselves on. However, we know we are not omniscient and we would never want to voluntarily turn away any opportunity to assist. So this campaign helps our internal WIS employees really notify the firm of any additional opportunities we can have to give back. So whether it's small donations to a charity of their choice, or internal marketing to raise funds, or even just getting WIS team members out to show face and really support. We want to make sure that we never lose sight of any other programs that we can participate in to really give back and make sure that our team members feel seen and supported when it comes to their philanthropic events. Finally, I'd like to touch on our opportunities that we have coming up. I know this is the most exciting part for budding accounting students, so I didn't want to waste any time in getting here. Um, we run two internship cycles per calendar year. That'll be spring, which is January through April, and then summer, which is June through August. They're all 3 days a week on-site experiences in order to make sure that students have the proper opportunities to really experience the work and the environment that we like to pride ourselves on. Our next upcoming opportunities are going to be for summer of 2027. However, we are launching those job posts in May. So we are about 3 weeks away from really having those applications posted across Handshake, LinkedIn, and our own company website. We also do fall, technically December 2027, full-time entry-level positions, but those we are not ready to post or even discuss too far in depth into until later on in the year. Finally, we figure it's best for you guys to like put some faces to names and really meet the team. That way, since Damien mentioned we have a strong presence at FDU at the career fairs, you guys can not feel too intimidated when you see us in the upcoming career fairs, hopefully in the fall season. I will keep it high level in order to reserve as much time as possible for any Q&A, but this is our people operations team. As you can see, there's Mark, the senior manager, and myself at the bottom as an associate of the people ops team. But this is everyone that you will most likely be seeing in the upcoming career fair season. All right, with that being said, that brings me to the end of the presentation portion of this meeting. We just like to pride ourselves on making sure that our internships are all about your career, making it our priority. We don't believe in coffee runs and busy work. We want to make sure that you guys have real, tangible efforts. Let me stop sharing, and I figured we could open it up to uh, any questions that anyone in the audience may have around either the firm, myself, or upcoming opportunities, anything really.
I have a question.
Sure.
Are there going to be any opportunities for like a litigation support internship coming up soon? I know that's a little bit niche, but I didn't see that on the PowerPoint.
So most of our programming as of right now that is very consistent is going to be folks in the accounting space. We do have litigation support internships. However, since I mentioned earlier that their timeframes tend to be much longer than the accounting space, we are a little bit unsure as to when the next one will be, since they technically run for multiple months at a time. Whereas our accounting internships are typically 3 to 4 months. The litigation support ones tend to run much longer in the realm of 8 months. So I would say just keep your eyes peeled. We can always connect, and I can provide my email, possibly in the chat or somewhere, for anyone to email me with any more questions and just get any updates.
I do have one more question actually. So I saw you had opportunities available for summer 27, but what about winter?
So we only do, when you say winter, do you mean like the January time frame? Because I
Correct.
know those run a little bit concurrently. So since we are on a 12 to 15 month advanced hiring schedule, everything that would have been for the winter, or we call them spring internships, are unfortunately filled up. Of course, I can always keep you guys up to date in the event that anything changes, but typically right now we are looking forward, not retroactively, to backfill any more slots.
Got it.
Yeah, I had a question. So let's just say like a student doesn't have, I don't know, like an audit internship or a tax or whatever, any accounting internship, or like any accounting experience, I should say.
Hmm.
Like what are some other, or like is that kind of person just you guys shut them out, or is there other experiences or any other skills that you look for?
There have been plenty of people who don't come with internships. I myself did not have any internships before getting the WISS internship. I believe that our approach is very holistic in nature. So we don't necessarily look at only your previous experiences or only your GPA or only perhaps your major. We try to take a very high level overview of who a person is in general. Like Mark said before, or how Mark, you guys met him, how he usually tends to say is it's not all on the paper. So when I'm personally looking over resumes, I like to see campus involvement. Of course, a previous internship helps, but in essence, we want to make sure that people are looked at as a whole, not just necessarily what their previous experiences have been.
And I had another question as well. So I know you talked about like AI, and usage of AI in your firm. Is there like, can you go like a little bit more in depth on that? Because, like, how specifically do you guys use AI, or how specifically do you use AI, in your position? Because I know, I've talked to a bunch of other firms before, and I know a lot of firms are definitely pro AI, but there's a lot of things that they're still afraid of, like for security reasons. There's things that they don't want to put in there because they don't know where that information is going. So I'm kind of curious as to like, I know WIS is a medium-sized firm, but they're still a big firm. How like you guys handle that?
So the way I use AI is a little bit atypical compared to the rest of the firm, just because being people operations, we don't necessarily have the same heavy data load or like client information prerequisites as the other accounts may do. So I'm going to lean a little bit more towards their half of the experience. I know in general, first up is going to be Basis. That is a accounting specific dedicated software. So the use case that I mentioned earlier around having like long, complex client data, for example, their bank referrals and like their accounts payable and accounts receivable, that is a real use case that I've seen with my own two eyes. So having to go through the financial information of an entire company and compare it to their bank statements is an incredibly daunting task for someone to do manually. And I know it was possible before, and it took very long times to really compare the two and make sure that everything matches one to one. However, through the, usage of Basis AI, we can get that done in a few minutes, really. So you can ask the AI a very complex and specific prompt string in order to give you specific information that you may want to pull from both those statements and compare them, make sure that they line up one to one. So that has been the most common use case that I've seen. Another use case that I have seen is going to be in the tax department through Thomson Reuters Checkpoint. That AI software has an already ingrained like pre-understanding of tax legislation, and you can even submit your own like personal documents that you may want it to specifically reference from. So I've seen that being used for a lot more research and recommendations for clients. So in that case, they're not technically submitting direct client information to the software in order to get a result spat out. However, it does provide good, solid recommendations around what are some loopholes that you can use, or how can you maximize the deductions for this specific client through discussing it with the artificial intelligence software. So I do know that security is definitely on our concern as well. It's something we take very seriously, but we do our best to make sure that there's no like uh, misunderstandings or any like gray area to be found with like providing sensitive documents to artificial intelligence. We do our best to make sure everything is safely put away and secured, and but at the same time making sure that our process is as efficient as possible so we can get quick turnarounds for our clients.
Okay, that sounds nice. And that's like something that, how do I say, that's something that would be taught once you get into, or do you guys expect people to already know how to use these AI tools once they come to the firm?
So we understand that again, people come in from different backgrounds and have different experiences. We expect a different level of general software understanding. So obviously understanding the basic Microsoft suite of applications is going to be tantamount. But when it comes to internal onboarding, we do plenty of trainings for the first few weeks, really, and even throughout the course of the internship. Our interns are constantly learning and refining and developing to the point where I think even now, as we come to the end of our spring 2026 internship, they are still learning skills and presenting on things that they've really accomplished throughout the course of their previous ones. So I don't think it is a necessity for people to come in with the proper like understanding of how to use AI software, but it definitely wouldn't hurt to get started now. It's why I was asking earlier, really, to see how are these conversations really being had in the classroom to see where like people are getting taught and what level we should expect from people.
Okay. I also had another question that was kind of away from AI. So if you're an intern at WISS, um, I apologize as well if you also already talked about this, but are you allowed, like, let's say you came in for an internship this summer, in the audit space, and let's say you invited me back for the winter or spring semester, as you said. Um, would I be able to, like, let's just say I tried out audit, I didn't really like audit. Is
Mm.
that like, is there a chance for me to say, hey, can I switch to advisory or can I switch to tax for the next internship since I already got an offer? Is that something that's like, all right, you chose audit, so you have to stick with audit?
So the way we kind of structure it is obviously we would prefer you stay within your branch for the duration of your internship. That's kind of a non-negotiable. But if we enjoyed your work product and we thought you were a great like culture fit, we have had plenty of people cross departments and really get like the world tour, as we call it, kind of transferring around and seeing what their generic feel is for each department. We've had plenty of people switch from audit as an introduction to tax as a follow-up and even go to advisory, then back to audit. So it is something that we're definitely open to and have done in the past. But I would just make sure that obviously the first internship works out well before going on to the second one.
Thank you. All
Of
right, does
course.
anybody else have any questions? Come on, I know some of you guys have questions.
It's a little bit hard for me to see. The camera's pointed in a different direction, so I'm depending on my moderators here.
Any questions, guys?
So should students, would you recommend that students start learning how to use AI? Is that something that you could see a lot of workforces adapting to? Do you think that's something that interns should know, kids should start using just to get a feel of it, to know how it works, things like that?
Yes, I definitely see like going forward in the future, AI is going to be one of those things like Excel, like PowerPoint. Obviously, right now it's still in the very early stages, and people don't expect too much in this given moment. But I can definitely foresee a future where learning how to prompt and knowing how to like interact with AI and just knowing how to maneuver the software is going to be a requirement and not necessarily like an optional plus. As of right now, obviously, since it's still pretty brand new software we see it as an optional plus. It's definitely something that like we don't expect everyone to know, but going forward, I definitely see it being a requirement for just interacting. Like as I mentioned before, a lot of our softwares and a lot of our work at this point now, at some point will have an AI touch point because it is just expected to be the most efficient way to tackle some of these large client databases. So compared to someone who is like super efficient and is running 7 jobs at once because they're funneling it through Basis or Checkpoint or what have you, someone who is doing it the old-fashioned way and maybe is depending on more manual review may not be able to keep up in general.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
Of course.
Okay, so if anybody else doesn't have any questions, I guess we could just call it there.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Uh,
so yeah.
oops, sorry. I was gonna
No, you
say,
could go ahead.
and
No, you go.
I am always open to connect. I'm gonna like drop my email in the chat and hopefully you guys can like propagate it out from there. I am always willing to have any follow-up conversations with people just to make sure that am here as a resource to you guys as an entry-level recruiter. Chances are, if you guys apply to our internships, it's either going to be myself or someone I work very closely with reviewing your resume by hand. That's the one part that AI hasn't taken over just yet. We're still human eyes on human papers. So if you guys have any questions and maybe you want to schedule like 10, 15 minutes outside of this, I'm always available and I always want to make sure I'm like transparent for you guys.
Thank you so much, Dennis. I really appreciate your time today and coming to speak with all of us.
Awesome. Of course. I'm glad that I could do that for you guys.
Of course, hopefully we could see you at next semester's career fair if you're there.
I will be there. Chances are I will be there.
All right, perfect. You take care, man. Thank you for everything today.
Thank you guys for having me. I wish you
Thank
everyone a
you.
good day.